Welcome to our time together today. I would invite you just to settle into the space where you are. Just allow yourself to find comfort. I've heard so many meditation teachers talk for so many years that comfort has to be the number one thing that we approach this practice with. Because we know the mind is going to try to distract us, it's going to race, it's going to take us places. But if we can get the body physically comfortable, the mind will hopefully begin to follow. And so as your body is settling in, whether you are seated, lying down, whatever position you have found yourself into, I would invite you just to have a soft closing of your eyes so that as the eyes gently close, the muscles in your face can soften as well. Allow the shoulders just to draw down and relax. And then start to find a good rhythm of breath. You know, the breath is the tool that brings us back to this present moment. The breath is the tool that regulates our emotions. And I will tell you, in times of high stress or high anxiety, the breath is constant. All we've got to do is remember to rely on it. And so here in this moment, just slow breaths in and slow breaths out. And just kind of check in and notice, how does everything feel? Emotionally, mentally, physically. Notice without judgment, but do notice. And I want to spend these next few times that we have together with this concept of spaciousness. And so first, let's just think about the small space where each of us is, no matter the size of the room that you found your way into, just the space where you are. In the chair, on the cushion, on the ground, whatever spot you've landed in tonight. Try to bring the space, the physical space, and make it small. And feel the security of that space. Even though you're not really looking around, just the room that you're in, you know where things are. Just feel it. How you've just drawn everything together into this space. But the space that I want us to really focus on for these next few times that we meet together is the space within us. I've thought a lot about that over the last few days, of just how cluttered we get. We look at our calendars and we think that the busier we are, it's a testament to something. Or the more people that we help and we serve, that it is again a testament to something. But what about this idea of uncluttering parts of our life to find some space? And as I was thinking about how the breath allows us to do that, I came across some words from Lao Tzu that I want to share with you for these few minutes that we have. These are words that I've read before, but for some reason this weekend, they had new meaning. He said, 30 spokes together make a wheel for a cart, but it's the empty space in the center of the wheel that enables it to be used. You mold clay into a vessel, like a vase, but it's the emptiness within that vessel that creates its usefulness. You can cut out doors and windows of a house, but it is the empty space inside that creates the usefulness of the home. Thus, what we have may be something substantial, but its usefulness lies in the unoccupied, empty space. The substance of your body is enlivened by maintaining the part of you that is unoccupied. And so just kind of picture that for a second. The easiest one for me to imagine that he's talking about is this idea of this glob of clay, and some amazingly creative person begins to shape it and mold it because they have this image in their mind of this vase or this vessel. But we know that if they create the shape of the vase or the vessel and they don't hollow out the center where it's empty, the usefulness of this vessel will be minimal. Where will the flowers go? Where will the things go that are to be held in it? It must be empty to be useful. And I know in our society that the word empty has kind of a negative connotation because we assign value to things in a really different way out in the world. But I would propose that the more empty we can create within us, the more filled up we will become. You see, we only have so much square footage. It never changes. Our internal capacity, our mental, our emotional, our spiritual capacity, it's just one size. And if we continue to clutter it up with things like worry and past trauma and mistakes that we've made and problems that are not ours to solve, there'll be little space left for the things that we need to help us grow. And I will tell you, I am as guilty as the next with filling up my space with so much and telling myself that it is all so good and so worthy, until I look up and the way I always describe it is that I have no bandwidth left for the things that I need for me. And I am sure you have all experienced the same thing. If I were to guess, more often than not. But what if we started to see the value of emptiness? The same way you clean out a closet with things that don't belong there anymore, that are not of use. What if you could begin to declutter the inside parts of you as well? And so let's just pause for a second. I want to ask us each just a few questions to help us start along this path, because again, I want to stay with this topic for a little while. I think it's important enough to spend some time on it. So my first question is, what's occupying the mental space within you? Maybe not here in this exact moment, but just throughout your day or your week. What are the thoughts that feel like a bombardment because they're taking up so much space, so much attention, so much energy? What are they? And then I would ask you and ask myself as well, what's taking up the emotional parts of you? What's the bombardment there? Maybe you picture the emotional part of you sitting right here in the spirit, in the center of your heart. Maybe you picture it as this layer underneath the physical parts of you. However you see the emotional part of your being, what's taking up space there? Which emotions tend to just linger without release? And then I would ask you and myself as well, a question that I hope is rhetorical, is, are you ready to find a little emptiness? Are you ready to find some spaciousness within, without a plan of what you're going to fill it up with? You're just going to be okay with it just being there. I can tell you I have bought some of the most beautiful handmade, creative, artistic vases from different places in the world. And some of them sit on my shelves in my home and there's nothing in them. They are this beautiful, incredible vessel waiting. I haven't cluttered them up. I haven't filled them up without the right things. They are just there waiting for their time to be useful. Waiting with emptiness, but their value is still the same. So if we could explore this idea of emptiness, it will not devalue who we are and the contribution that we make to the world. It will just mean I'm waiting for the right things, the things that are part of my purpose, my dharmic path, my contribution, instead of just this accumulation of all of these things that I think I should be doing. So as you picture this idea of spaciousness within, begin to see it with positive eyes. It's not something that's lonely. It's not something that's lacking. It is truly one of the most beautiful things once you experience it. But it does require that we become quiet and still and okay with the fact that we're not filling things up all the time. Think about when you sit on your back porch and you can hear traffic, and then all of a sudden, the sound of the traffic becomes the background, and instead you hear the birds. That is spaciousness. The traffic hasn't gone away. We're just not paying attention to it anymore. Same thing happens within us. That bombardment, those noises, that cacophony of whatever it is that's taken up your space, it will fade into the background if you'll stop giving it your attention and your energy. And so we're going to sit for just these next couple of minutes together, beginning to just kind of grapple with this idea of emptiness, of spaciousness, of quiet. And as you continue to breathe, I'm going to go back to these last words that Lao Tzu said. He said, the substance of your body is enlivened by maintaining the part of you that is unoccupied. And so I want to give us each just a small task to practice this in the coming hours before we meet again. Oftentimes in yoga, we'll talk about this ujjayi breath. We bring the breath in, we seal the lips, and we want to hear the breath. We want to hear that sound of controlling the breath coming in and out as we breathe through our nose. And there's power in that. There's assurance that you're in control of the breath. But I would encourage you in the coming hours, in the next day or so, pause at different points in your day and continue that same deep, rich in and out breath, and see if you can do it in the quiet. That you can feel the enlivenment that the breath offers, but that you can't hear a thing. And when you start to feel that and experience it, there's your first glimpse at spaciousness, don't need to fill it with noise. I don't need to fill it with things. I know the breath is there. More than I feel the oxygen, I feel the enlivenment of my body. And I'm catching a glimpse of the spaciousness within. That is my wish for you and my wish for me. Let's find a little emptiness in the coming days and see it as good. Namaste.